This week, I'll be talking to a young man who has dedicated most of his free time to outreach programs and promoting student involvement on campus. Darcean Edwards is also a student at City College. Also in this program, you'll meet another young man, St Germain, who was once incarcerated but has moved on in an impressive way. He's an author and speaks to young men and women about preparing a bright future and avoiding the pitfalls that could so easily lead to incarceration. But let's begin with Darcean Edwards. Welcome to Brooklyn 45.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm very interested in this Black Male Initiative that you're working on.
All right, so the Black Male Initiative is a CUNY-wide academic program for, it's open to all students, but it has a primary focus on Black men of color. So because when you look at graduation rates, the higher up you go in education, the less and less you see Black men. So they have things like open rooms and tutoring sessions for people like me. But one of the particular things that we're working on is we're going to various high schools in Brooklyn and Queens and talking to at-risk youth.
What high schools have you been going to?
Well, I haven't gone into any yet, but we're supposed to start somewhere towards the end of February.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. The Black Male Initiative, why did you become interested in this?
Well, honestly, I went into at Kingsborough, there's a room called the Men's Resource Center.
At Kingsborough?
Yes, at Kingsborough Community College. That's where I started with Dr. Rodriguez. So I come into the room and I remember seeing his face, and I remember seeing his face at orientation. And he was the only person I bothered listening to because I had to go to orientation because it was mandatory. So I heard him say his room number, so I went to his room number, and it all started from there. I came into the room, and they had this particular workshop on philosophy, and I just fell in love with it. It's called MIT Men in Thought, and and one of their professors just talks about various things that you can't talk about in a classroom.
Such as?
Such as, like hearing about love from your professor, hearing about like relationships, finances, like philosophies on finance, and like it's various things that like you would never see like in a classroom, because you kind of got to get the classroom going and get them out of there within an hour or 2 hours,
Now, you've graduated from Kingsborough.
Yes.
What did you experience at Kingsborough that you will talk about for the next 30 years of your life?
I became the treasurer of a $200,000 budget.
A $200,000 budget. You became?
Yeah, when I was at 19 years old. It was crazy. So there's this organization on campus. Well, each campus has one. It's called a Campus Activities Board. And it's budgets vary, of course, depending on campus to campus. But it is the epicenter of anything that a student would want to do. Like if clubs want to throw an event, they come talk to us. If clubs wanted to, have a little bit of money to bring a speaker, they'd come to us. So I basically learned how to become an accountant within a few weeks because I kind of became the treasurer in the middle of the year. So I figured out basically how to manage a $200,000 budget, and then at the end of that term, I became the chair of that organization.
So what have you been doing as chair?
As chair, so we started with because like with any organization, when you take the head of it, you see things that you want to improve. So first thing that I did was I set a bank aside just for student organizations. So like whenever they needed something, all they had to do was put in the paperwork, and then we'd look at it, basically kind of streamline, to make things happen more often. And then another thing was I had ideas circling for events, so it was just plugging in and getting the correct context. So like we had full schedules all throughout the year, consistent events, so that was something that a lot of the students really appreciated because it didn't really happen that often, because you had maybe an event every now and again, and then you had a big event at the end of the year. But this was like the first year people saw consistent events and consistently saw me in their face promoting something for them.
What else have you done there?
Well, right now I'm also serving as kind of an academic advisor, because with everything that I've done, I learned how to work the inner workings of degree works and CUNY first. That's our scheduling in our class program. So I learned how to work with those, and now I just recently hopped on board as a volunteer academic advisor. So I help students with their schedules, kind of give them the most amount of free time that I have. Because my last semester there, I got out of class at like 11:30, 12 o'clock, and people didn't understand how I did that. But all I did,
11:30 at night?
no, 11:30 in the afternoon. I mean that's the morning. 11:30 in the morning.
Okay.
So just coming in from 8 o'clock to 11:30, and then having the rest of your day free, and when basically being free when everybody else isn't, well, basically starts to get free, it makes it a lot easier to to reach out to people. You see when people are free, when people are not. It really helps the demographic of when you should place your events. So that really maximizes on what you can do.
What benefits can people gain from being involved in these type of activities on campus?
I don't have the exact statistic, of course, but you're more likely to graduate. When you're more active on campus, it's been proven statistically that you are more likely to graduate, because a lot of the requirements to be active on campus is, of course, to have a GPA, so a high GPA. And when you have a high GPA, it's hard to bring that down. Like for my particular position, the minimum was a 2.5, but I had a 3.3. So, but it kind of shows you what you're capable of, Coming out of high school, I really didn't do too well in high school. I was a bit of a slacker,
That's okay. I was too.
Yeah, so so I came into community college thinking because I didn't want to go to college at first. I was just because I wanted to go into the military. I wanted to go into the military, because I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, and that's never a reason to go into, the armed forces. Respect to them, of course, because some people did that because that's what they wanted to do. But my mother said, no, you need to go to school and figure out what you want to do. So I went to school. My mother basically forced me to go to school, and I fell in love with the campus the first day I went there. No campus is perfect, of course, but just when I came there, it just felt like I belonged, and I had to make it better, make it my home.
So you've left Kingsborough.
Yes.
And you're now at
City College of New York.
Okay, what are you doing there?
I am studying political science with a minor in legal study.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
What do you see yourself doing 20 years from now?
20 years from now?
I hope you've thought about it.
Yeah, I've thought about it. It's changed so much. When I first, my friends would tell me like, oh, you should go into politics. Like a year and a half ago, I'd be like, oh, I don't want to be into politics. And all it took was a couple of seasons of House of Cards, and now for some reason I'm looking at politics. But not just, of course, from a TV show, but just the possible change that you can do. There's not a lot of people. More people look like me, that are running for office, but you don't see it. I want it to be consistent. See people of color everywhere. So politics is kind of the route I'm looking at. Maybe not. Of course, I'm not trying to run for president, but something municipal. Where I can affect a community. And affect it for the better.
What does your mom say about that?
She's 50-50 on it.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't want me to be she's always worried about, the crooked politician, but
what do you feel about crooked politicians?
I mean, who likes crooked politicians?
Okay.
But I feel like the more diverse politics gets,
sure,
the varying opinions and experiences, the less likely you'll see that stigma of the crooked politician,
And you're going to change all that?
I mean, it takes one person. It's one step at a time.
As an individual?
As an individual, yes.
Darcean Edwards, congratulations. Yes. You are now a student at City College.
Yes.
And you have how many years ahead of you? At least 2 years.
Yes, at least 2.
Mm-hmm.
I have people convincing me to go get a master's, And
maybe, you should go get your master's.
Yeah. I'm thinking I'm going to do it now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Congratulations to
thank
you.
You,
congratulations to your mom for playing such an important role in your development, your academic development.
Yes.
Now to Jim St Germain, the author of this book, A Stone of Hope. Congratulations.
Thank you, and thank you for having me here tonight.
Forgotten at 11, arrested at 15. I should have been a statistic. I made it out for one reason: the people who didn't treat me like one. This is you.
Yeah, that's me. That's exactly right.
Talk to me about you.
So my journey is, I was born in Haiti, and as a kid in Haiti, I grew up in a really impoverished neighborhood, and we were told that America was the home of the opportunity, and we thought that moving here, the streets would be paved with gold, and there would be no more pain, no more suffering. We'd have a big house, and everything would be perfect. And that was solely from the movie Home Alone, which I used to watch as a kid with Kevin, and his hardest job was to keep Joe Pesci out of his house. But when I got here, the realities were totally different, and I didn't really adapt well to it. So I ended up being in the streets at a very young age, and I made a lot of mistakes, which then led me into being in the juvenile justice system for 3 years. And while going through those really tough times is where I encountered some really selfless individuals who were my attorneys, mentors, and deans who decided that I was worth an investment. And so they invested everything they had in me, which then led me into going into college and graduating and co-founding Plot and working with President Obama and continuously doing some amazing things for my community.
You worked with President Obama?
Yeah, I did. I was appointed by him to be on the Juvenile Justice Council on the federal level. And our job there was to ensure that young people who are caught up in the juvenile justice system, the foster care system, or young people who are sexually trafficked are receiving the best possible services they can get so they won't have to recycle back into the system.
Talk to me about the relationships that you have developed with young people, both those in the system and those who are not in the system, and hopefully you are preventing them from getting into the system. Talk about those relationships.
That's exactly right. So for me, our youngsters are the future, right? So if we are a nation who cares about our future, then we have to invest in young people. I was one of those youngsters where at times where I felt abandoned and that people did not care about me and my community wasn't reaching out to me. So that unfortunately led me to the street. So my relationship with young people now is to show them that there is an alternative. There's a different way, that they matter to me. They mean everything to me, and that I'm willing to invest everything I have in them, and that I trust them, and I expect them to be the leaders of tomorrow as stated in our organization. And in order for them to be those leaders we expect them to be, we have to pass the baton to them. We have to invest in them. We have to entrust them with whatever we have available to us. So I love young people. Everything I do is for them. It's about them. It wakes me up in the morning. I also have a son myself. My son is 4.5. He's 4 years old. So
congratulations.
Thank you.
4 is terrible 4s, though.
Oh, for sure. I'm having a lot of fun. He's driving me crazy. He has a lot of energy, but it's amazing. It's the greatest job in the world.
You talk about the streets. I don't know anything about the streets except to drive on the streets, how to walk on the streets.
Yes.
And there are a lot of parents who really don't understand the streets. So
Right.
talk to the parents who are listening to you about the streets.
Yeah, so, for a young mind that's not fully developed, and they have their peers, their friends, and they have the media, now social media, all around them telling them this is what's cool, this is what you should be about, this is what you should follow. It's really hard for that young person then to stay on the right path at times, especially if they don't have a constructive and positive environment and role models around them who are constantly reinforcing positive things instead of the negative things people are throwing at them. So these young people are very susceptible to the streets. They're very susceptible to making mistakes, which every young person make mistake, right? The only difference is that our young people, when they make a mistake, is magnified because of the circumstances that they're in, and they're young black, brown kids. And they come from neighborhoods sometimes where if they make a mistake, it can cost them a lot. It can cost them their lives. It can cost them to be in the system for a very long time. So those youngsters, in a sense, deep inside, a lot of them don't want to be in the streets, but they feel like they have to put on this persona in order to survive. So one of the things we can do as parents is really to speak to our young people and try to understand them and try to understand how challenging the world is for them, instead of simply telling them, don't do this, don't do that. things are a little bit more complicated for them at times.
Is social media making it more difficult for parents to connect to their kids?
Certainly. Now,
How?
just imagine this. 20 years ago, I was just 8 years old, but just imagine 20 years ago without Facebook, without social media, if you had to go through an obstacle, you went through that obstacle and it ended right there, right? You get to go to your house, and maybe if you have to go back outside, you have to encounter that person again. Nowadays, if a young person has an issue, the person having an issue with can find them online and still find a way to challenge them, harass them, and even entice them to be more involved in the streets. They don't get a break from the negativity because it's at their fingertips now. They have a phone, and with that phone, they can go to YouTube, they can go to Facebook. A lot of young people now set up beefs and a lot of negative things online on Facebook. Like, people have groups for certain things that they want to get involved in. So I think social media is certainly making it much harder, especially knowing that some of our parents don't fully understand how social media works. It can be really complicated.
Do parents really understand their kids?
I think some parents do, but a part of the challenge and things we're dealing with now is the gap between the youngsters, the kids, and the parents at times. Sometimes that gap can be really wide. And so the best way to improve and close that gap is to build relationship. And that's not always easy, right? Because at times you may have a teenager who looks at their parents like, you're not cool, so I don't want to be involved with you. I would much rather listen to my friends, until something bad happens and they realize that mommy and daddy was always right. Mommy and daddy is the only one that's going to visit you 10 hours away from here if you do get in trouble with the law. Your friends are just, they shout you out on social media, but other than that, they move on. They're going about their business.
And you're on your own.
That's exactly right. Only your parents would be there for you, those who truly love you.
What do you tell your 4-year-old son?
I try to show him more than I tell him. I don't tell him much except for the fact that I live my life in ways which I want him to be proud of me and copy after me. So when I'm around him, even when I'm not around him, I try to live a life of integrity. I try to live a life of service to others, respect, always obtaining knowledge and trying to do my best to ensure that he'll be proud of his father. So I'm an open book. If he asks me questions, I answer those questions. I believe it's one of the things parents need to do also. Is there are times what we do is when these young people have questions for us, we don't answer the questions because we're like, hey, you're not old enough to talk about this, or this is not your business. Now what happens is that young person then go back to their friends and ask their friends the same questions. The friends will have an answer for them. Usually that answer will be a wrong answer, which is why I think parents should always have honest conversation with their kids. If you give them the options, you dissect it, you go through it, and then you tell them, now you can make your decisions. I've already given you the options in terms of what may be good for you or not. So even though my son is 4 years old, I've always done that with him. I talk to him as I was talking to an adult. I teach to him, and so we keep it going that way. Yeah.
I'm curious about this book.
It's a great book. You should be curious.
A Stone of Hope.
Yep.
Are you giving this to me?
Oh, that is your copy.
Oh, thank you.
That is your copy. I want you to read it. I want you to enjoy it.
You're going to autograph it for me too, right?
I'll be sure to autograph it. A personal one, too. I'll put another personal one there.
Wonderful.
Yes.
A Stone of Hope.
Yes.
Talk to me about this Stone of Hope.
So a part of my job is to go to Capitol Hill or Albany or City Hall and lobby policymakers to legislate in a way which I think are beneficial to our kids. There was a particular bill I was advocating for on Capitol Hill. It was called the Better Option for Kids Act. It was designed to remove funding from the criminal justice system and put them back towards community-based programs, education, employment, so many other things our young people need. It was sponsored by Senator Chris Murphy and Bobby Scott from Virginia. And I went and I testified in front of the Senate, and I felt that this was a bill that every politician would be for. I mean, it's a bill that gives young people, particularly at-risk youth, an opportunity. Come to find out, the bill didn't make it out of the committees. It died, and it never went anywhere. So while I was on Capitol Hill, I was feeling frustrating, so I took a walk towards the Dr. King Monument. And as soon as I arrived there, angry and frustrated and looking for a positive sign, on the side of Dr. King's monument, one of his biggest quote is, "Out of a mountain of despair, a stone of hope." So I saw that and I wrote about it because I had that experience as I was writing the book. And then when I sent it to the editor, he suggested that we call the book A Stone of Hope, because my life is sort of like the epitome of a stone, but there is hope at the end. It's hard, but if you keep going, you keep grinding, and people keep investing in you, you'll be able to make it through.
You know, congratulations.
Thank you.
You are the co-founder of PLOT. What is PLOT?
PLOT stands for Preparing Leaders of Tomorrow. PLOT is our nonprofit mentoring organization in Brooklyn. So what we do is we find at-risk youth and we train mentors and we pair them together so these young people can always have a positive role model in their lives who get involved in activities with them, help them with their educational career, employment opportunities, just someone to be there for them. A lot of those youngsters sometimes may not have a father figure in the home. Their father figure may be caught up in the criminal justice system. Even if they do, the more, the merrier. We always want to give them an option. So we find solid individuals, we help train them, we provide the tools they need, and then we send them out to the world to mentor our young people.
And where is this organization?
It's right in Brooklyn. We located right downtown Brooklyn. And we're all over Brooklyn, so our goal is to expand.
Over Brooklyn?
All over Brooklyn. And I like to tell my board members that we want to be the Starbucks of mentoring. So
I hear you.
We want to be in every corner around the world, providing services to young people.
Just heard that Starbucks is spending a lot of money on its employees.
Exactly.
Are you spending a lot of money on your employees?
Well, we need more money, but that's the goal.
Of course.
That's the goal.
What are some of the obstacles that you've had to overcome to bring you to where you are today? As
an individual?
Yes.
A myriad of things. I mean, I lost a lot of friends as a young man growing up in the streets in Brooklyn. A lot of my friends made really poor decisions and they're not here today. Many of them are also incarcerated. Others are deported. I had to overcome, growing up in deep poverty, being an immigrant kid moving to this country, and growing up without my mother, my dad being sick for most of his life. So the journey has been really challenging for me, but they said tough times don't last, but tough people do, and that God gives his greatest battles to his greatest soldiers. So I'm here and I've been resilient, so I'm just going to keep going.
I had no intention of asking you this question, but I got to ask you.
No problem.
Our president and his comment about shithouse countries.
Yeah.
And you are from one of the countries he mentioned.
I am proudly. I am a proud Haitian. I actually wrote an op-ed responding to the guy in the White House currently. I think obviously he's pretty ignorant about history, not just the history of Haiti, but history in general. As you know, Haiti was the first black independent nation. If it wasn't for Haiti, the United States would not be the size that it is today. After Haiti defeated the French army, then Napoleon was forced to make the Louisiana Purchase, which then made the United States twice the size that it is. Chicago, which provided Barack Obama, Lincoln, was founded by Haitian men, Jean-Baptiste Desabler. Haiti was occupied by the United States for about 37 years. Haitian soldiers actually came over here and fought with American soldiers against the British in the Battle of Savannah in 1779. So these are historical factors that this country that we in here do not like to put out there, because then the rest of the world will look up to Haiti as the strength and the pillar that it is. So the president don't know that history, which is what caused him to make such racist and ignorant remarks. But Haitian people are really proud, as you know, and we're very strong. So we're going to keep pushing, and we're here to stay. And America is better because of us.
You know your history. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You mentioned on your way here that you were speaking somewhere.
Yeah.
Talk about where you were speaking, yes, and about the speaking that you do around this place.
So I actually literally flew in from California today. I still have my luggage outside. I was in California doing some work out there. The book is being considered to be optioned for a movie.
Nice.
So I was out there having meetings, but then when I landed back, I was at NYU Law School speaking to some of the students there who are considering becoming attorneys. So just sharing my stories and my passion and my professions with many of them. So it's a part of the work that I do. Not only that we mentor young people and we advocate to change policies, which we find to be draconian kind of laws, but we also speak to the next professionals in the next generation who will be involved in public service.
Plot.
Plot.
Planning for leaders of tomorrow.
I like planning, preparing leaders of tomorrow.
Preparing, you know.
Yes.
One of our producers wrote planning, and I'm sure that he had a reason for writing planning.
He's actually very smart. I like planning.
Yes.
So, you know, our website is available. If you go to plotforyouth.org, you'll see all of the work that we do. If you have a young person you think needs a mentor, if you want to become a mentor yourself, we're always looking for help. We're always looking for mentors, and our young people need it. It's not fair of us to cast young people in a certain light and not willing to lend them a helping hand.
I'm getting the wrap up, but I'm curious about your relationship with past President Obama.
Well, you know, I've met the president once. I was actually at the White House for the police reform segment he had, which I participated in. We also worked on the My Brother's Keepers initiative. I didn't really have a chance to really talk and get into it with him. I just saw him briefly. But I'm sure I'll be seeing him soon, and hopefully we'll have a conversation and I can pick his brain.
You've come a long way. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here. I appreciate you.
I want everybody to make sure you get a copy of this book,
Yes.
A Stone of Hope.
It's available everywhere books are sold, Barnes & Noble, Greenlight, Amazon, everywhere.
Jim St. Germain, we're proud of you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Honor to be here.
Thank you, Jim St. Germain, author of the memoir, A Stone of Hope. And we also thank Darcean Edwards, student at City College and outreach volunteer for the Kingsborough Men's Resource Center. You can watch this program on our YouTube site, youtube.com/Brooklyn45TV. And please visit our Facebook page, like us, and post your comments about this program, and tell us about some topics you'd like us to feature on the upcoming Brooklyn 45 programs. On behalf of our Brooklyn 45 team, I'm Sam Tate.